I'm very honored to be one of the pioneer gemologists in Hong Kong, testing jade in the late 80s and the early 90s. That means around about 30 years ago. You know, at that time in Hong Kong, basically we have翡翠, what we call the jadeite jade or翡翠. And at that time, you know, we mainly just pay attention to jadeite in Hong Kong. But later on, we discover more and more other green, interesting materials. And then in the geological and mineralogical analysis, they are just what we call the isomorphic replacement of jadeite and anthracite and some similar chemical composition mineral. They are just embedded, mixed together in one big piece of rock. So I'm very interested to pay attention to some green stone, green color stone, or the jade stone. So the following presentation, I try to bring out two interesting stones. They will call as翡翠as well as the Taiwan jade. Before I start to talk about the Italian翡翠as well as Taiwan jade, I would like to discuss a little bit with you all the term called yu, Y-U. Many people in this day, we talk about jade stone, but in fact, Chinese character, we don't have jade, we have yu, yok. So yu is Y-U, pronounced Y-U, yu. And it is actually, in the old days, around about 2,000 years ago, the first Chinese dictionary. We talk about yu, is the meaning of beautiful ornamental stones. That means it doesn't really matter they are jadeite or anthracite or nephrite, doesn't really matter. Please understand, this is 2,000 years ago. That is the terminology we have to understand in the way of respect our culture, the Chinese culture, back to what, 5,000, 6,000 years ago. So we do not mix up the term jade, and please do not mix up the term yu. They are different meaning in the way of Chinese. Now in geology, we have many things. In mineralogy, we have also many things. But in gemology, J is simple. It is about 1846 to 1867. There's a French mineralogist. His name pronounced Dumont. Maybe wrong, but this is a French name. I'm not very good in French, so Dumont. He's a very famous mineralogist at that time. He made the first research of the yu, bring from the Oriental, say maybe from China, but at that time, it may be Qing Dynasty, not China at that time. So under his investigation, he draw a line. J include nephrite and jadeite. So in the modern gemology, no matter the Britain one, or the American one, or the European one, or even the Japanese one and the Chinese one, in gemology, we include two minerals called nephrite and jadeite as J. But remember, it is not U, J, J-A-D-E. But taking a look in Hong Kong, taking a look in the Far East, taking a look with Chinese people, Chinese around the world, the jewelry market, we have J market, but basically we will selling jadeite or most of the jadeite stone using a term called翡翠. So what is meant by翡翠?翡翠is a Chinese term in China, in Hong Kong, and maybe Taiwan, or for many Chinese people living around, we will use a term called翡翠. Originally, this name is actually the meaning of a beautiful feather of a bird,翡翠bird. But in Hong Kong, we have a Trade Description Ordinance, Chapter 362K, the laws of Hong Kong. We have a very clear description, define翡翠. This翡翠description saying that if you have stone like jadeite, anthracite, or cosmoclaw, or a combination of any of this description will be described as翡翠. So 翡翠 is not exact meaning of jade, because in the Western gemology, jade include nephrite, but this翡翠exclude nephrite. So this is something very important to understand. Now let's talk back to Italian翡翠. You know, around about 20 years ago in Italy, they do discover anthracite. Anthracite is a mineral may not be very familiar to gemologists, but it is one of the minerals that Hong Kong government include in the terms of翡翠, anthracite. They are mixed with jadeite sometimes. They are only a little bit different in the contents of magnesium and calcium. They are also with sodium, as well as aluminum, as well as silicate. They are sodium, aluminum, magnesium, calcium, silicate. That means a little bit more complicated than jadeite. This is called anthracite. In Italy, they do discover anthracite around about 20 years ago. Pale greenish yellow color, not very transparent, but only in around about 4 or 5 years ago, there's a new discovery in Italy, and they are anthracite. Now, it is in the mountain called Mount Viso. It is one of the very tall mountains in Italy, and it is approximately at the altitude of 3,841 meter height. It is very high. So in this mount here, they discover the interesting and beautiful green anthracite. Now, we got some sample from this Italian anthracite, and we make some investigation on it. We have sample B, which is very similar as翡翠green, the green翡翠or green jadeite, very similar, the color. And we do have some blackish green, a little bit the irregular distribution of blackish color and green color, called sample C and sample D. Okay, understand about whether it is jadeite or anthracite. We use chemical analysis. We use an X-ray fluorescent machine called GemRay 5000, and then we try to find out the chemical composition of this stone. And we do discover we have some calcium there, silicon there, and also titanium, chromium, as well as iron. So it is a little bit complicated. So I sent this stone to Hong Kong University, and we use electron microprobe to test again this Italian anthracite. And we found out the chemical composition very similar to the composition discovered in the X-ray fluorescent machine. Again, we use infrared, what we call the reflection infrared spectrum. This reflection infrared spectrum very clearly telling me that it will be something similar to what's called the anthracite in our research. Finally, we try to make it more carefully. So we use Raman spectrometer to test one more time of these several pieces of Italian anthracite, and they come into the same conclusion. They are anthracite. According to Hong Kong ordinance, we are qualified to say that that is a anthracite and that is a翡翠. So this is what the laser Raman spectrum of the green Italian anthracite, and they have the same database as in our database there. Again, this is the UV visible spectrum of this green anthracite. And finally, we have the refractive index approximately 1.67, and the specific gravity 3.26 to 3.38 for that several pieces. So this is what the Italian翡翠look like. They are quite good looking, isn't it? You know, in Chinese terminology, we sometimes call this as ivy green, 有青种. So, according to our institute, we have a grading system for翡翠. We have the class color transparency, internal shine, purity, size, and craftsmanship to find out and analyze the quality of this翡翠. They are quite good, in fact. So take a look at this green color, which is very deep green. And in the class, we classify it as oily green, 有青种, and the 颜色 and the color is quite intense. And the transparency is translucent to opaque, and the internal shine is nothing. They didn't like the jadeite翡翠. They don't have the internal shine. 这个石头没有荧光，就是说我们看的荧光在翡翠里面，它没有出现荧光。So, and the purity is quite low. They have a lot of cracks, and they are not very clean stone. And the size, they are very small, because the original raw material, they're having a lot of cracks. So the production of this anthracite stone is not possible to have a big size. Usually around about 16 by 12 mm in the size of an oval cabochon. And the craftsmanship is all depends on the jade cutter. So this is another piece of the anthracite from the Italian anthracite cut stone there. You can see there's a lot of cracks. I think it may not be a very good stone to be advertised as like a commercial value stones. You know, in my collection, there's only one piece which is possible to be look like a gem, a precious gems, like a gems翡翠玉. And this gentleman, Marco, this is where he selling several pieces of this Italian anthracite in Tucson, in America. And he's the one discovered this stone around 4 or 5 years ago. And I asked him, do you have a lot of prepared to sell? He said, no, it is not commercially available. This is only like personal collections, maybe 100 or 200 pieces, small one. This is what he got. So this is what in the part 1 about the Italian anthracite, Italian翡翠. Now, the next part, the Taiwan jade or Taiwanese jade, because it is nephrite. According to gemology, jadeite and nephrite will be so-called jade. So I would call it Taiwanese jade. The Taiwanese jade is not just discovered just now. It is actually before Second World War. Japanese, they do discover in Taiwan the Taiwanese jade at that time, 1940 or 1943, 44. At that moment, they do not intend to bring out that Taiwanese jade as gemstone. They are just looking forward to the other stones or minerals come together with this Taiwan jade. Now, I got several samples from this Taiwan jade primary deposit mine. And I look at some of these collection stones. They are quite nice looking. They are very rich, deep green color. And also, they do come with a very beautiful cat's eye effect. So this nephrite cat's eye is not being introduced much to the market. And in the jewelry trade, many people, they just think Taiwan jade is inexpensive or maybe not very impressive to the trade because they are not that much available in the market at this moment. Russian nephrite or maybe China nephrite, there are many available in the trade, but not the Taiwan jade, Taiwan nephrite. Again, I have several pieces of sample, and I use my instrument to confirm they are nephrite, but not any green stone. Again, I use the GemRay 5000. It's a very good machine to check the chemical composition of this stone. And they correspond to the nephrite chemical composition. We have calcium, and we do have some iron as well as silicon. So this is correspond to the nephrite content. Again, I'm using electron microprobe to test again the chemical composition double-checked with the X-ray fluorescent machine, and they come with the similar conclusion. They are responsible to the nephrite chemical composition. And using specular refraction infrared spectrum, and they are similar to what my database of nephrite. And I also use another laser Raman spectrometer to test for this Taiwanese J, and the conclusion also same as our database. It is nephrite J, nephrite of the mineral. So again, the UV visible spectrometer tests the stone contain the chromium peak here. So this green color is also responsible because of the contents of chromium in the composition. Hardness test. Some people say in Chinese wording, nephrite, it means soft J. J means hard J. So I use the most hardness pencil to test for it. And this is quartz, hardness 7. And I can just barely scratch this nephrite J. So the nephrite J hardness is approximately around 6.5. So look at this beautiful collection of the Taiwanese J, this nephrite. And they do come with interesting and beautiful calcite. Some of the raw material from the primary deposit of this Taiwanese J, they come from an area called Hualien. Some of that is heavily chipped, and they are sometimes with a lot of cracks inside. So to find a big piece of Taiwanese J is not easy. Isn't it beautiful? This is the Taiwanese nephrite calcite, Taiwanese J. Look at this color. Look at this one, look at that one, and look at this one. They are very similar to what so-called the crystal barrel calcite in gemology, but they are nephrite. They are the nephrite calcite from Taiwan. Take a look. Nephrite calcite, crystal barrel calcite. Yellowish color, yellowish green color. It is available in the primary deposit of the Hualien area of Taiwan. Professor Chen and myself in this primary deposit mine last years, and we pay attention to how they form, and we do go into the deposit inside, and we find so big piece of the nephrite J there, big piece. They not belong to us, and we are not allowed to take out, but it is the primary deposit. It is difficult for a gemologist or for a geologist to go into the primary deposit because they are not that much available. So in Taiwan, it will be an interesting chance to see this primary deposit. Again, looking at this, the whole big piece of stone. And then we do run a course to bring some students to this primary deposit mining. And they do enjoy, and we grab some piece from the cave inside. And I do have a video taken at that time, and I hope some of you to looking at it. And we do run our course, and then we teach our classmates how to cut and polish the Taiwanese J. Professor Chen, myself, and also our Professor Chai. So I have about 1 minute video in this cave there. Please have a look.
Ladies and gents, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Now I'm in Taiwan, Hualien. The Hualien Taiwan J is the most famous J in Taiwan. Now in this cave here, it is the Taiwan J cave. It is a mine. Now on behind, it is all treasure J stone. Now you can see from here, this is the bapstos, and then they will gradually become the nephrite in my left-hand side. And this is the mining experience that many people expect to be experienced in the lifetime. So if you wish to come together with me, now look at this one. This is the genuine Taiwan J pebbles. Isn't it beautiful? Now next time I will see you is in Taiwan. See you. Goodbye.
I do have a few more slides. And beside Taiwan, the primary deposit studying course, we do have Sri Lanka studying course. This is about 15 years ago. I bring students and geologists go to Sri Lanka there. And we learn how to buy stone, and we learn how to take out stone from the pit mine. And this is what we call the pit mining. We have to go down. Usually we naked our body because at that time I'm quite slim, so I really just wear a t-shirt on. But, but this is the original fashion, okay? You have to be naked and only cover the most important part. So I hope one day, if you are interested, join me, go to Taiwan and go to Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.